Today is a very sad day for not only myself but many fans of Robin Williams. I found out today about I think it was about 3:30, quarter to 4 today, that Robin Williams had committed suicide. They found him at his home in Tiburon, which is here in the Bay Area. And it looks like it was from asphyxiation. That's what the early reports are. He was only 63 years old. For me, growing up, Robin Williams was the king. I know in previous videos I've talked about comedians that I loved growing up, and I've always said John Candy, Chevy Chase, Eddie Murphy, those guys, and I've never talked about Robin Williams before. I think because primarily my channel's about horror, and I really haven't had any other reason to really talk about him before, because he never really did a lot of horror films. He did some psychological films. I got one of his films that he did, the Insomnia, which I think is a very great film. It's one of Chris Nolan's first films, and I thought he was terrific in this film. But mostly for Robin Williams, movies like Mrs. Doubtfire. I just grabbed a couple of his films that I have, and this is my favorite Robin Williams movie is Mrs. Doubtfire. I've always loved this movie. But just to name a few movies that he's done, he's done The Survivors with Walter Matthau, which I think is a fantastic film. Of course, he was on Mork and Mindy, and that's where I remember him from. But he's done Popeye. He was Popeye when I was a kid, and I was a huge Popeye fan. To see a live-action Popeye, I still think he's the only person that could play Popeye. But Good Morning Vietnam, Dead Poet Society, Cadillac Man, Aladdin. Let's see what else you got. What Dreams May Come, Patch Adams, Bicentennial Man, 1 Hour Photo, Death to Smoochie, Jumanji, The Birdcage, another fantastic film that I'm a huge fan of. This loss is tremendous. The genius is too small of a word to describe Robin Williams. I loved him. When I was 22, I actually had the honor of meeting him. I was going to San Francisco State at the time when I was in college, and they had open auditions for the movie Flubber, which was a remake of The Absent-Minded Professor. I went on to be an extra, and I had a photo that I had gotten when I was doing speech. I was in a speech team, and my professor at the time had taken pictures of all the people that were in the competition, and he had taken a black and white picture of me. It was like a close-up picture. So when I went for the audition, they required a picture like that, so I gave them that picture and signed up for it, not thinking anything of it. I knew it was a Robin Williams movie, which I thought was awesome. I had no idea where it was going to be filmed. They ended up filming the scenes that I was in at the Stanford campus, and it was in November. And I remember it happened right around the time that I was sick, so I was getting tired driving to Stanford because it was pretty far from where I lived at the time. But I remember I got lost quite a few times trying to find where the basketball stadium was, because they were going to be doing exterior shooting. And you were always supposed to wear one color, so I had to wear red. They told me to wear red to the shoot. And I met some really nice people, and I remember we got to our positions to do the scene, and I was standing with this girl, and we were supposed to walk across the street when they called action. And I remember looking, and there was a gentleman standing by the lamppost, and I'm looking at him, and I'm going, that's Robin Williams. And the girl that I was with said, no, that's probably his stand-in or something, because we're just doing this one shot. And I said, no, that's him. And sure enough, it was him. And I remember we did several takes of that where we were walking across the street, walking sort of. He was walking across, and we were kind of all everybody was leaving the basketball game. If you watch the movie, you won't see me, but you'll see the exterior scenes of people going into the stadium and exiting the stadium. That was the night I was there, and it was November. It was freezing, and after every take, when the director would yell "cut," everybody would just mob Robin Williams. And not grabbing at him or nothing, but they would just all talk to him, and people were around him. And he was so friendly. He would sign autographs. He was just such a nice man. And I actually got him to sign something for me real quick, but I don't know what happened to it. I actually ended up losing it. But I did shake his hand and say it was an honor to meet him. He was very nice to me. and there was a couple of times where we were hanging outside the set, and he didn't go to his trailer or anything like that. He was outside on the set just talking to everybody, and just very friendly, wonderfully nice man. And I had always, at that time I was trying to get into film and things like that, and it was just so cool to see an actual working, movie set and or a movie, shoot, and to see one of my childhood heroes. Who, I mean, he is one of my heroes growing up. I mean, Mork and Mindy, that's the first place I saw him at. But then, of course, with everything else he's done, Good Morning Vietnam, I used to try to pretend that I was him and try to talk fast like him and be funny like him. I loved just his spontaneousness. And he was very nice and very down and very just real when I met him. And when he was talking to other people that were there, it's just such a great memory. And I wish I could have, there was digital cameras back then and I could have, filmed it or something, or at least taken a picture with him. I mean, it would have been great to have that as a memory. But I have it, here, and my wife called me at work today, telling me, and she was crying, and I started crying, and it's like we lost a family member. Robin Williams meant a lot to a lot of people, and people for me growing up in the the 80s and the 90s, he was everything. He was just fantastic, and he always will be, and he has a tremendous legacy that he left behind. And I hope that I wish the best to his family. I feel really bad that this whole thing had to go down, and I feel bad that he was suffering from depression. You would have never known that from the movies and the comedy that he put out there. I remember watching Live at the Met. That was like one of the best stand-up comedies I've ever seen, and I just remember dying laughing. He used to make me laugh so hard that I would get the hiccups, or I would start just crying like I couldn't breathe. And it's just like, there's not a lot of stand-up comedians that you can say that about. I mean, he was just the greatest, and I loved him very much, and I know a lot of people really loved him. And it's a sad day that he's gone, and it's just hard to talk about. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. I couldn't go. I was gonna do a very different video tonight, but I have to pay tribute to Robin Williams, who was a comedy genius. And he's going to be greatly missed, and I miss him already. And rest in peace, Mr. Williams. And I invite everybody to share their thoughts that they have about Robin Williams and his career and what they loved about him. And just share your thoughts with me in the comments below. And I really appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this video. Thank you so very much, everyone, and I hope everyone has a great evening.